So if we look back at what we have looked back at the last few weeks of budget debates, I think that process has started. I think what the citizens' perspective, the 12 citizens' perspective that we've come up with has been very helpful is in the way that it informs policy making. Because the citizens' perspective provides, the citizens' perspectives provide the backdrop and provide the kind of underpinning for many of this policy, and it helps to inform policy making. So if you, for instance, look at DPM Tharman's opening speech in the budget, I mean, he started the entire budget, his entire budget speech with the citizens' perspective about, what he has heard, what he has read about, the kind of Singapore, the Singaporean one, and then he then followed up with a number of policy announcements that touch on this very key areas, for instance, affordability and so on. But the underlying theme of building a more inclusive society, the underlying theme of a society that takes care of the vulnerable and the disadvantaged, helps to shape a number of the specific policy pieces. Yeah. If we look at Minister Corbin Wan's speech, instead of, he started with some announcements about changes that he wanted to make and so on immediately, but he also then took a step back and talked about, let's review what are some of the key pieces. What is the purpose of public housing? How do you deal with specific issues of what kind of housing and so on? And you notice that there's a very a clear sort of stepping back to look at what are some of the changes that are taking place and some of the changes that will be taking place. For instance, I think he raised a question about demographics. How will the changing demographics affect our housing policy? And how will the changing aspirations of Singaporeans affect housing policy? So I think that sort of stepping back to look at some of these more fundamental issues has been valuable, and I would say that a lot of that has been informed by this very extensive discussions that we have, this very extensive conversation that we have with fellow Singaporeans. Right. Yeah. So similarly, if you look at education and what I mentioned, if you look at heritage and engagement process, which Lawrence spoke about, and building community, building a sense of community, all this have permeated policy thinking quite a bit, and in fact quite extensively.